Hi there, World Church here. Another sermon today about consequences of your actions. Consequences of your actions that you thought you got away with. So I already did a sermon about selfishness saving the world. That's because I was getting you hopefully to see your consequences in a long-term fashion rather than a short-term fashion. So if you steal something right now, you get a nice consequence for yourself. But long-term, you get a horrible consequence for yourself. You might end up in some crack house somewhere with nobody around you but people who steal because nobody else trusts you, nobody else wants to help you. Ultimately, you harm your own life. So selfishly, you should think, maybe I shouldn't steal that. If you're thinking long-term selfishness, you might want to make your life better by not stealing something, if that makes any sense. Okay. Then I was thinking about it and I was like, but what about those times when you thought you got away with something and nobody even knew about it? And it just kind of bothered me, like, I guess people could get away with things. Or could they? I'm not so sure that they can get away with things, and I'm going to tell you why. I was thinking about it, and let's just say, you are out on a road somewhere and it's night and it's, nobody's around, and you see a little girl on the road and you're thinking, ooh, nobody's around, okay, I'm going to take this little girl and I'm just going to murder her, or something like that, right? Or a little boy, whatever. And you take this child and you murder them, okay? And you think, phew, that was fun and I totally got away with that one. Or did you? Did you? I believe there may be consequences to our actions that are from things that we thought we got away with. So we still have a consequence to that. And this is the consequence I was thinking of. So now there's one consequence firstly to yourself, inside yourself, and then there's a second consequence to the world, which will come back to you. The consequence to yourself may be that you yourself now don't trust anyone. You might end up with a worse life because you know exactly what people could do, which may be a good thing. And you're running around now, can't trust anyone, can never find love, can't really sleep with a knife by your bed, and you're quite lonely because you know for a fact that anyone could come along and do whatever the heck they want to. I'm not saying that's a bad thing to have that knowledge, but what I am saying is that when you act in a certain way, a lot of times it can cause us to see others in that way because we think people are like us. It gets me in trouble a lot because because I'm telling people the truth, I'm trying to push that out there and hope that it comes back to me and I can find who's going to be good to me if I'm good to them, and it gets me in trouble because sometimes I think other people are telling the truth and they're not. So whatever we are thinking or whatever we're doing, we may end up thinking that others are doing, and we could probably demolish our own lives because of that in a way. Now, if you know that there's somebody out there that can resist that temptation, you may be able to find others like that and actually have maybe a little bit of a safer life, better life, I hope, for humanity. Then there's this other consequence that I thought about. Oh my gosh, so you think you got away with it, right? But actually that child was somebody's child, and that parent is going to be like freaking out. It's going to be all over the news. And you know what happens is eventually the world just becomes harsher and less trusting, and suddenly kids can't go outside to play, and people are afraid of each other, and they don't want to talk to you, and they don't want to pick up hitchhikers, and everything starts devolving into a, well, you're going to hurt me. I know you could, so I'm just going to say you could hurt me, so I'm not going to help you and I'm not going to talk to you. Well, guess what? Okay, so you kill that child and you think, nothing's going to happen to me. 10 years later, the world has gotten so crazy and so interesting. You're out and about on that road and you break down, or another road, anywhere. You break down and you're screwed. You're in some freaking, mess, some blizzard or something like that, and nobody's there to help you out. Your cell phone is dead. Your car isn't working. And guess what happens? Every car that you see passes you the F by. It just doesn't want to pick you up, thinks you're going to hurt them, thinks you're going to trap them. Why? Because when you did that, you perpetuated a world that was untrusting, a world that doesn't believe that you won't hurt them. And it does eventually come back on you. It does. Eventually the world just gets, more and more untrusting and less willing to help each other and fighting more and scared of each other. And it's like, we're humans. We're supposed to help each other out. How are we going to survive on this freaking planet? It's still not, maybe because we're in this digital fantasy world, it's still a planet that's harsh, that's got freaking mudslides and mountains crumbling and things happening to us, and we're all going to need help. So I know it can be hard to resist those temptations because I have my own temptations, and I'm hoping is not that these are sort of inherent in humans. What my hope is that these temptations, like my temptation is to sadism, because I was in an abusive relationship, and I think that's just where I got taught sadism. I had to learn and understand it in order to realize that somebody was doing it to me and get out. But, I realized before that I didn't have that, and I was sort of abused into it, and I wondered, sometimes I think about humanity, like, could humanity be sort of like this pack of dogs in a pit that's getting abused? Okay, so all these dogs are like wild, and they're like gnashing at each other, and they're fighting each other and clawing at each other for survival, and the abuser or owner just drops a piece of food in, and they just rip each other apart to get that piece of food. And then some of the dogs actually learn to enjoy it because they have to in order to kind of survive the situation. They have to learn to still be happy with life, or they're going to die and kill themselves. So they learn to actually enjoy demolishing the other dogs, when those dogs should all be helping each other out. And if they could learn to stop biting each other and enjoying biting each other, maybe they could help each other out, climb the heck out of that pit and escape. And then some dogs are just going to be frightened, looking at like, oh my gosh, I can't take this, like all these other dogs are ripping these dogs apart, and I'm just back here like hoping they don't hurt me, and I hate this place. That's kind of like my situation. Like, I want to die. I freaking hate all of this violence and everything that we're doing to each other and to others. I can't really say much about it though, because that is the way the world is right now, and not just our species. So my hope and desire is that a lot of the sadism and the things we do to want to hurt each other and hurt others is, I'm hoping that it's sort of been taught into us, and that maybe in a different environment humans won't even want to do that stuff. It won't even be attractive to them, I'm hoping. And if it is still, that we'll have some kind of solutions for that, because it doesn't make a safe world. And I'm hoping that, like, if you take those dogs out of the pit, you put them into a nice meadow, and they've got plenty of food, and they're hanging out in the sun, and those dogs are going to change, just like humans could change in a different environment. We might not have to always be this way. And those dogs would be running around and kissing and hanging out on top of each other and going up the stream to drink and everything, and maybe getting a pet or two from the random human that comes past. But I can just imagine it in the different environment. Those dogs straight out of the pit of hell would act differently. They would act differently towards each other and towards other species. Maybe before that a human would reach in the pit and get their freaking hand bit off. Now, human can walk up to them in the field and the dogs are like, woohoo, thanks for the ear scratches. They may become trusting, more loving. And disclaimer, I don't know if that's good or bad, because we may not need, maybe we're supposed to be untrusting and everything to survive in this world, but I think it's worth a try, because we can always go back to this, no problemo. So anyways, in recap, my sermon was about two things. One, when you think you've gotten away with something, I don't think you have. I don't think you have. You made the world a worse place, like a ripple effect. And it does come back on you. Plus, you've got your own innards to deal with now, especially the fact that you're probably never going to be able to actually love or trust anyone. Maybe. Secondly, I'm hoping that the way that we're, as humans, are treating each other and the way that we're treating other species right now is, I'm hoping that it's because of our environment. You know, we're sort of in this horrible environment where a lot of us scrape to survive, and we don't get treated very well. We're not getting the things we want, and we're fighting each other instead of making the solutions and making a better world. Maybe we're all just abused. If we are just all being abused, it might explain a lot of our treatment of each other and a lot of our sadism towards each other, the way that the dogs in the pit are. And if we weren't getting abused, would we do that to each other? Would we even really want to do that to each other? I hope not, because, you know what? I'm tired of crap. It would be really nice. I think it would be really, really nice if we could live in a safe world where we didn't even want those things anymore, didn't even struggle with those temptations because they just weren't there. That might be unrealistic. But what if it's a possibility? What if it is a possibility? What if the whole world is like that? What if before, what they say in the Bible could be true, that the animals ate the herbs and they laid around in peaceful with each other and stuff? If this world got demolished somehow, carved up and mined the way it looks like it's been, and we got enslaved and our ecosystem got destroyed, it's very possible that every species here pretty much went into survival mode, started attacking everyone else and killing everyone else, just like a zombie scenario. And since then, we've been attacking and eating each other, and it's kind of like an apocalyptic hell here right now. I don't like it. I don't like it the way it is here. I'd like to hope that one day I can be proud of humans, at least, that maybe we can make it a little bit better, but if not, then I don't know. We accept murder and we accept death. What else is there to do? Okay, you can hate me for this sermon, you can disagree with anything I say. Like I said, my disclaimers are always that I'm just talking. I'm not the ruler of your mind. You are the ruler of your own mind. And anyone who's trying to rule your mind, I don't know. Kiss their butts if you want, I guess. Bye.